So కనిపిస్తాం. Okay. Are you able to see?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now I will start.
Okay, sir.
First of all, I want to tell which book you are reading. SRB. Which book you are following? SRB. Most of the students they follow SRB, but usually we suggest short practice of surgery by Bailey and Love. But that is a British book. Are you able to hear properly?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
So that is a British book, and in your 2.5 months posting of surgery, because when we are students, it is a very small book, but now it has become very big. So it may be difficult to read, but for your NEET exam, you must read Bailey and Love, because they are giving all multiple choice questions from Bailey Love only. So it is better to read Bailey Love wherever some of the important topics. Right. So before starting the class, I want to tell a few words about what is surgery and what a surgeon has to do. So what is the definition of surgery? First, so it is to say simply, it is called a skillful handwork. Surgery is nothing but a skillful handwork, and the definition is the art. It is an art of practicing. It is an art of practice of treating injuries, deformities, and other disorders by manual operation or by instrumental appliances. So that is the definition of surgery, and the surgeon is one who makes the people better, chiefly by exercising his manual skills. So in the development of medicine, surgeons are tended to be regarded as technical journey people, in contrast to the physicians who are analytical, contemplative, and philosophical, and think seriously, searching for the reason. So that is the quality of physician in contrast to the surgeon. And the surgeon is more action oriented. In the early 20th century, the surgical master, that is Berkeley Moynihan, remarked that it was necessary for the surgeon to have the eye of an eagle, the hand of a lady, that is lady's fingers. So you must be very having sharp vision to see every part in the body, vital structures as well as any bleeding points, and you must handle the tissues just like ladies' fingers, that is delicate handling of the tissues. So if you respect the tissues also respect, otherwise they will weep by producing discharge. And the courage of a lion, because the surgeon should have the courage not getting any bleeding point. So he should himself a leader who always make the others to follow. That is the leadership qualities in a surgeon. And the surgeon should have the patient of a donkey. That is whatever may be the number of cases, you must be able to handle with a lot of patients, because if you are having lot of patients, you will get a good result. So the good result will come only for the patient surgeon. So every step you must take a lot of care to have good outcome of the patient. And the stomach of a camel, the surgeon that is not caring for the food. So the camel which drinks water only twice or once in a 2 months, so surgeon should have that capacity to withstand and operate and treat the patient even without food and drink. So that is the meaning, and it generates a sense of satisfaction, and indeed it gives an elation to carry out an operation successfully, either as a solo or as a part of orchestral team. So surgery is a teamwork because everybody should cooperate. Then only the surgeon will have good success rate. Yes, yes. You are not able to see the slide. Are you able to see the slide? Right. And sometimes because you are operating a case and there is a great success, it gives enough euphoria to the surgeon, and it has to be balanced occasionally because of some depressive episodes due to surgical error or operation may be a disastrous ఎందుకు అట్లా వస్తుంది?
అది కనెక్ట్ కట్ అయ్యాను.
నెట్ కట్ అయినట్టు వచ్చింది, కనెక్టింగ్ అని వచ్చింది.
అదే సార్, నెట్ డిస్టర్బెన్స్ ఉంది.
ఎందుకు అట్లా?
ఇంటర్నెట్ ప్రాబ్లం ఉంటుంది.
Right. Next, the surgeon has to face the anger of attendants and sometimes of legal action, and the surgical personality. The surgeon as a whole is extroverted, that is confident, the meaning, and optimistic people, because the surgeon always, whatever may be the condition of the patient, he tries to save the patient with an optimistic view that whatever may be the deficits, he will try to save the patient. Next, coming to the topic, that is surgical anatomy of the liver. Right. So liver, it is the heaviest internal organ, having a weight of about 1.7 kg in 80 kg man, and it is situated in the right upper quadrant below the diaphragm and protected by the rib cage. And a Glisson's capsule, it is a thin capsule covering the liver parenchyma. This capsule is very, very important because sometimes when there is hepatomegaly, the patient feels pain. That is something stretching pain because of the stretching of the capsule. And visceral peritoneum, that covers the entire liver except the posterior surface, which is termed as bare area of the liver. So this bare area is very, very important because here the amoebic liver abscess is very, very common. That's why, because it is not having protected by the peritoneum. Next, it contains mainly two lobes, right and left. Right lobe is very large and constitutes about 3/4 of the volume of the liver. So right lobe is large lobe, and ligaments of the liver. So there are three important ligaments. There are so many ligaments which are actually formed by the peritoneal reflections, but the most important ligaments of the liver, where the surgeon has to be aware, because there are three important ligaments. There are three important ligaments that fix the liver to the right upper quadrant of the abdomen, and they are all formed from the peritoneal reflections. So these three important ligaments, number one is left triangular ligament, that is present over the left lobe, and this ligament may require to be cut while doing truncal vagotomy so that we can mobilize the left lobe of the liver. And right triangular ligament, that is present on the right side. So by cutting this ligament, we can make the right lobe of the liver to come down so that we can reach the bare area of the liver if there is any pathology in the bare area of the liver. And third one is falciform ligament, that is it is a remnant of umbilical vein, and it runs from the umbilicus to the liver and passes between the two lobes of the liver, that is right and left lobes. It is attached to the posterior aspect of the anterior abdominal wall, because when you observe in the OT, when we are opening the abdomen in the midline, usually we will encounter the falciform ligament, and usually
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Sir, you are muted your audio.
ఇదే నొక్కుతున్నాను.
ఇది మోస్ట్ వాడదండి సార్.
ఓకే రైట్. హలో హలో,
Is it audible?
are you able to hear the audio?
Someone respond.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Okay, let us continue. Right. Next slide ఏం మారడం లేదా?
చూసారు సార్. ఇక్కడ కంటిన్యూ చేస్తాం.
Right. Okay. Next, we will study the segmental anatomy of the liver. This segmental anatomy of the liver is very, very important. After this, because of this anatomy, we are able to do surgery. That is, for example, in carcinoma stomach, when there is solitary secondary, it is not contraindication for radical surgery. So that's why the segmental anatomy is very, very useful for safe liver surgery. And also we can do radical surgery in some of the malignancies when the secondaries is limited to one segment or two segments of the liver, even for half of the one lobe of the liver. So it greatly helps for safe liver surgery. And Covinod, that is a French surgeon, described 8 segments of the liver. And each segment is considered as a functional unit of the liver. Hello? Right. Right. And next comes the most important, that is Cantil's line, which divides the liver into 2 functional units, that is right and left lobe. And this is very, very important line that is drawn between the fossa of the gallbladder and middle hepatic vein. So it divides the lobe, liver into 2 lobes, that is functional lobes. And there are 8 segments of the liver. So these segments are very, very important. And I will show the figure how they are named in a clockwise direction, that is from left lobe to the right lobe. So there are 8 segments of the liver named in a clockwise direction. So the first, second, and third, and fourth segments are present to the left of the Cantil's line, and fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth segments are present to the right of the Cantil's line. So resection of individual segments or right and left hemi-liver can be done because of this segmental anatomy. So the salient features in the liver anatomy are: number 1, there are 2 anatomical lobes with separate blood supply and having bile ducts and separate venous drainage. And it is the unique organ that having dual blood supply, that is 80% from the portal vein and 20% from the hepatic artery. And liver is the one organ which regenerates fully even after partial resection. And resection is based on anatomical lines to preserve the maximum functional capacity of the liver. And coming to the blood supply, that is, I already told it is having dual blood supply, and the blood flow is about 1.5 liters per minute. And hepatic artery, that is branches of the hepatic artery, right and left. And right branch, which is a larger branch, supplies the right lobe. And sometimes, because it is a branch mainly arising from the celiac trunk, but sometimes it arises from the superior mesenteric artery. And left branch, sometimes it arises from the left gastric artery. And coming to the venous drainage, this is very, very important because I will show the figure. There are 3 important hepatic veins. Number 1 is right hepatic vein, left hepatic vein, and middle hepatic vein. So because of this venous anatomy also, we are able to divide the liver into multiple segments. All these 3 large veins join the inferior vena cava immediately below the diaphragm. And this is liver anatomy, that is showing the important structures, that is they are particularly present in the hepatoduodenal ligament, that is the porta hepatis, the 3 important structures, that is bile duct and proper hepatic artery and portal vein. And next, coming to that is hepatico-gastric ligament and round ligament of the liver, that is ligamentum teres hepatis. So this is the figure showing the important structures present at the porta hepatis, that is the 3 important structures. And coming to the bile drainage, that is drainage of the bile occurs from left and right hepatic ducts, and they fuse to form common hepatic duct, and bile duct then it goes to the second part of the duodenum. And portal vein, which is formed by fusion of the superior mesenteric vein and the splenic vein behind the neck of the pancreas and in front of the inferior vena cava. and portal veins runs behind the pancreas to the free border of the left segmentum. And coming to the common hepatic artery, which is a branch of celiac axis and passes across the posterior abdominal wall to lie just above the pylorus. It runs in the gastroduodenal ligament medial to the common bile duct and anterior to the portal vein. So that is the relationship between the CBD, portal vein, and then that is the hepatic artery. So the common hepatic artery that divides the right and left hepatic arteries well below the hilum of the liver. And coming to the segments of the liver, and these three hepatic veins are very, very useful so that the segmental anatomy can be appreciated how the veins go, right, left, and middle hepatic veins. And when you see there is 4 segments in the right half, 3 segments in the left half, and caudate lobe is apparently named as first segment. Why it is named like that? Because caudate lobe, it is considered separately because of 2 reasons. Number 1 is it is different embryological origin and it is having a variable blood supply and venous drainage. So this is the segmental anatomy of the liver. So here we are not able to see the caudate lobe. I will show in another figure. And when you see the segments in a clockwise direction, that is second segment, third segment, and fourth segment that are present in the left lobe of the liver, and another 4 segments they are present in the right lobe, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. So they are arranged in a clockwise direction, and these are the 3 important hepatic veins: right hepatic vein, left hepatic vein, and middle hepatic vein. So you can see how the right hepatic vein is supplying the 5th, 6th, and 7th, and 8th segments, and that is the 4th segment which is supplied by the middle hepatic vein, and the remaining segments they are supplied by left hepatic vein. So this is the 3 veins where it is supplying the segmental venous drainage, and each segment is supplied by named portal radical and segmental bile duct and hepatic artery. So each segment forms a smallest anatomical unit of the hepatic resection. So this is the importance of segmental anatomy of the liver, because this is very, very important, because not only in the liver, but also even in the spleen, lungs, and kidney, the segmental anatomy is very, very important. And why this segmental anatomy, I want to tell a few things, because for example, if you do right hepatectomy, how many segments they are removing? That is 5, 6, 7, 8. And the left hepatectomy, they are removing 2nd, 3rd, and 4th segments. So this is the figure showing the extended right hepatectomy and extended left hepatectomy. So how many segments they are removing during that surgery, I have shown in the figure. Right. Next, functions of the liver. So this is very, very important. That is LFT, liver function test, as well as what are the various functions of the liver. So liver is having so many functions. That is number 1, that is secretion. The most important one is secretion of the bile, which is required for digestive purposes. And second comes the storage function, that it is storing carbohydrates, minerals, and iron, copper, and some of the vitamins, like particularly fat soluble vitamins A and B12. And synthesis, that is glycogen from monosaccharides and phospholipids, cholesterol, fatty acids from carbohydrates, and fat synthesis. And it produces, that is production function, it produces albumin, fibrinogen, prothrombin, and all clotting factors except factor 8 and Van Willebrand factor. And breakdown, that is glucose from glycogen, that is glucogenolysis, and deamination of the amino acids with formation of urea from protein metabolism. And another most important function of the liver, that is detoxification of hormones, estrogens, and removal of the ammonia from portal blood and drugs, particularly barbiturates, because all these sedative hypnotics, they will be detoxified in the liver. And coming to the reticuloendothelial activity, that is destruction of the bacteria that gain entrance into the body by portal circulation, especially gram-positive cocci. So it is having reticuloendothelial activity. And another most important function is heat production, because it is also having important function of art. Hello? And maintenance of body temperature. And next comes the pH balance, and it corrects any lactic acidosis. And lastly, that is clotting factor synthesis, I already told. And coming to the liver function test. This is very, very important and important short notes for you. Right. Because liver is performing so many functions, there is no single test which can assist the function of the liver. And another most important thing is, even when as much as 80% of the liver is out of activity, there may be little or no effect on the liver function test. So, for example, in cirrhosis of the liver, all LFTs may be within normal limits. So, more than 80% of the liver function should be get deranged when the liver functions get abnormal. So, that is the problem to assess how much of the liver is getting damaged. And what is the importance of liver function test? So it helps to know whether the hepatic cells or biliary tree is primarily involved. So whether the hepatic cells or biliary tree that is got involved, and know the extent of the liver damage. And also it helps to assess the prognosis, how the patient recovers from the problem, that is a disease of the liver. So I will tell some of the important liver function tests. And first one is serum bilirubin estimation. The normal serum bilirubin is 0.2 to 0.8 per 100 ml. And high levels of serum bilirubin, they indicate hepatocellular damage or biliary obstruction. And increased